Traveling green for the Vikings, the home whites for the Cardinal. Stanford 21 wins under Kyle Smith last season. And Stanford also dominant here at home. They went 17-3 at Maples, including 9-1 through the ACC. Here on their home floor as A.J. Rahosi wins the opening tip and Stanford controls. Starting five for Kyle Smith and the Cardinal. As A.J. Rahosi in there, a transfer who began his college career playing for Kyle Smith at Washington State. Down low. There is Rahosi. He's denied by Trevon Minot, the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year last year, but the Cardinal recover, and it is Ebuka Okorie with the game in the season's first points.
Well, it's a big play because Stanford was rejected on the very first play, stayed with it, scored, end of the shot clock.
He is a supremely talented freshman. And Kyle Smith already a couple of weeks ago named him as the starting point guard for this team, even though he had not played a minute of college basketball. Shot clock rolling down, and a three up and in from Keon Kenzie Jr.
Well, they can shoot threes. Stanford's going to have to get out to the three-point line. Stanford's a pretty good defensive team this year, but you got to cover out at the three-point line.
Down low to A.J. Rahosi. Up and under. And the rebound grabbed by Keon Kenzie Jr. for the Vikings. Solid year last year for Portland State. They made it to the Big Sky quarters where they lost to Idaho. As Idaho had a good win against Kyle Smith's former team, Washington State, on opening night in college basketball last night, as a foul called against Stanford. And it's on Ebuka Okorie.
Well, here's the foul. You can see the contact, and he knew it. Okorie knew it right away. That's kind of a no, you got to let him go a little bit.
He tried to back out of the way.
Yeah, too late.
Mel Spearman, our lead referee in this ACC crew with Jeff Pond and Adam Floor working this game. Terry Miller Jr. Shot clock down to 10 for the Vikings. Splitting a double team down the lane. The scoop is off from Jalen Henderson. For the offensive rebound, Terry Miller Jr. a putback, and officials stop play to maybe check the shot clock if it had expired before Miller on the putback.
It might have expired.
Here's one more look at it. That is Jamel Spearman on the right with Jeff Pond on the left.
Well, there's an air ball, but it was a takeaway after the exchange of possession, so they're going to go back. Okpara had the rebound and got it taken out of his hands, so we'll see what the referees determine on this play.
It appeared there was still one on the shot clock when the shot went up.
But it didn't draw anything. There's a shot, didn't hit iron.
Potential timing issue, checking on it.
Doesn't hit iron.
Potential timing issue is what Jamel Spearman alerts us to. And my only thing is that I can think of, Ben, in this situation is, look, there was still time on the shot clock, but did they stop the shot clock in the process of that possession that maybe would have been a shot clock violation?
Well, there was no call to determine that, so they're going to have to go back, as the officials are now, at the monitor.
So they're at the monitor checking to make sure the clock was correct. We're just over 2 minutes in at Maples and an early 5-2 lead for Portland State. Should the basket for Terry Miller Jr. count? But this is a very tough opening game for Stanford because you have a team that's a veteran group, and on top of it, Ben, they are expected to compete for the championship in the Big Sky. It's Montana, who was picked as the preseason favorite, and the Grizz will be here on Saturday to take on Stanford. But Portland State is right there with them.
No, this is a talented league, and if they're one of the top teams in this league, I mean, just last night, you know, our former Bear, player of mine, Alex Pribble, went out on the road at Washington State, knocks off Washington State. So that's a huge win for Idaho, but that's the nature of this league, Roxy. It's gotten better. The Big Sky has improved every year, and this Portland State team is no stranger to success. They've been knocking on the door every year, so Stanford does have their hands full. They're going to pressure, they're going to play hard, and they're a confident group.
And Jace Coburn, the head coach of the Vikings in his 5th season at Portland State. And take one more look at that last sequence. And they're trying to determine the clock issue.
We have a timing issue. It should be 18:04 on the game clock. Basket's no good.
So basket is no good, which means the shot clock would have expired. So the shot clock expired, and that's why the basket gets waved off. And the timing issue gave Portland State too much time.
Yeah, moved it. But when it doesn't hit iron, that was key. Break for Stanford, by the way, because that ball was taken away.
So it's a 3-2 game, and you've seen this. I understand the frustration from Jace Coburn because his team is just playing the shot clock, but it's happened a number of times, and if it's a shot clock issue where it should have expired, then they go back to where the game should have been, and that's why the basket got waved out. Ryan Agarwal missing a 3, and here's Portland State with the ball. Gambling for a steal was Agarwal. Terry Miller Jr. hits a 3. Just a 27% three-point shooter last year, and Miller puts Portland State up 4.
Well, he may be 27%, but he shot that with confidence.
And it's last touch by Agarwal, but a foul on Portland State, and a hold is whistled inside against the Vikings.
Yeah, you can see Terry Miller. I mean, he steps out, and it's a late challenge by Agarwal, so he puts it down. And when you're a confident player, Roxy, you got to take that shot, and he shot it extreme confidence.
Here's Chisom Okpara, the Harvard transfer, powering his way inside. Could not finish, and the rebound pulled down by Trevon Minot, who is a 6th-year senior who spent 3 years at South Carolina, and now his 3rd year at Portland State. Path to the lane, Jalen Henderson lays it in, and Kyle Smith wants to talk things over, not happy with the start from his team.
Well, he's also having a word with the official, maybe on a moving screen. Interesting.
8-2, Portland State. The 8-2, just over 3 minutes in. You can see the frustration as Kyle Smith's face has actually turned cardinal, I think.
Yeah, it has, but I think he's disappointed because this is the 2nd game in a row now they've gotten off to a poor start. Happened against Oregon as well.
They recovered against the Ducks from that poor start, trailing by double digits early as Ebuka Okorie hits a 3, and the freshman is all 5.
Well, they're fortunate that young man is showing up because he's playing with confidence as well.
He had 17 against Oregon, and now an offensive foul whistled against Portland State. And the illegal screen is on Trevon Minot.
Well, here's a drive and the kick. That's a good job by Okpara. Gets to the rim, gets help, and he kicks. Good spot up in the corner. You know, I think Stanford just got to get their selves, as they did last game, Roxy. They just got settled defensively, but they're not guarding the way they did, the other night against Oregon. They've got to play that same level of defense against this Portland State team.
Ebuka Okorie, the quick penetration, and Chisom Okpara fouled and 1, counted for Okpara.
Well, thank again Ebuka Okorie getting to the basket because he made that play happen. Watch the drive, the help, and the drop off to a very strong Okpara at the rim. That's a great play.
Foul was on the freshman from Gresham, Oregon, Braden Barron. And the and 1 free throw for Chisom Okpara, and Stanford has tied the game.
You're playing with Ebuka Okorie. You got to move without the ball. He'll find you. He's really good with the basketball.
Here's Terry Miller Jr. out of the double team. Shot clock down to 10 for the Vikings. Keon Kenzie Jr. way off on the three. Here comes Ebuka Okorie in transition. Mismatch. Benny Gealer watched by the 6'10 Minot. That means somebody else has a big mismatch inside. And a trip, and that's the second foul on Trevon Minot, and that's costly for Portland State. He was the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year last year. Game knotted at 8. Ben Braun and our ACC Network crew, Roxy Bernstein with you. And the consistency for Kyle Smith, Ben, a lot of returning players from a year ago. As a coach, how much easier, especially going into year 2, is it for Kyle Smith with so many key guys back?
Well, you want to have veterans, Roxy. When you can step in, if you put veterans in your lineup, it makes it easier because they're there also to help their younger players. So incoming players, young players, freshmen, transfers, those veterans really have been on the farm, as they say, and they can help their players adjust. So it's huge for Kyle Smith and his staff.
Now, of course, Maxime Reynaud is off with the Sacramento Kings in the NBA right now. And then Osiah Sellers elected to hit the transfer portal is at St. John's. And Jalen Blakes, after his grad transfer, he was sensational for Stanford last year. But 9 scholarship players back. And then you add a transfer like Jeremy Dent-Smith, who's on the floor right now. Aiden Cameron just does, no, he doesn't beat the shot clock. And that's a Stanford turnover.
That's good possession for Portland State. I thought their defense was very good. They stayed on the floor, stayed disciplined, and gave Stanford some fits.
Key contributors like Benny Gealer back, Chisom Okpara, Ryan Agarwal. As a steal here is the freshman, Ebuka Okorie. To the basket, and count it. They're calling goaltending on Portland State and a foul, which means an and-one free throw for Ebuka Okorie.
Well, I agree with the foul. I'm not sure about the goaltend. That might have been on the way up, in my opinion. But I definitely, you can see the foul. Now as the shot goes up, does he get it on the way up? I guess he got it at the top. That's close, but no argument.
In this year, one of the new rules in college basketball, before if you wanted to ask the officials, had a goaltending call or a basket interference call been made on the floor, it can be reviewed. Now, it still can be reviewed, but it has to be a coach's challenge. You, like the NBA rule, you get 1 challenge per game. You must have a timeout to be able to challenge. And if you're successful in your challenge, you get another one.
Roxy, you better have a good video guy on your bench. I can tell you that. 1 challenge to review. You look to your video guy, you look to your assistant and say, what do you think? And they got to give you some on-the-spot advice. So you got to be careful about your challenges.
Okorie now with 8 of Stanford's 11. And a foul is called. And the basket counts for Portland State.
I've been impressed with Portland State's ability to get to the basket. They turn the corner and they just put their head down and they go. And they're a very aggressive team. You've got to stop them at their point of attack, get them early. I thought Stanford did really, in my opinion, a much better job against Oregon early on the ball screens and the dribble weaves and the handoffs. You've got to get that ball stopped. And I know Kyle Smith will talk about that with his team.
And 1 free throw missed by Jalen Henderson. 1-point lead for the Cardinal. Jeremy Dent-Smith, a Division II All-American last year at Cal State Dominguez Hills.
Well, they're pressuring way out on the floor.
Step back, Okpara, and a tough 3. And the rebound batted free by Cameron Grant. Stanford gets another chance, and a block is called on Terry Miller Jr.
Well, very fortunate to get that ball back on an offensive rebound, Roxy, because Portland State's pressuring. They've got Stanford all the way out towards the 10-second line and had to settle for an outside shot, but great hustle by Chisom Okpara to get the loose ball and then draw a foul. Stanford's got some size and advantage inside. They're going to have to use that. They tried earlier on their first 2 possessions to go inside, and they're going to have to go back there. I think that's where they can really gain an advantage.
First foul on Miller. That's now 6 on Portland State.
That's a lot. And so you get the bonus awfully early.
Stanford last year set a school record for free throw percentage, 78.9%, leading the ACC. was a big plus for them last year.
That's a staple for Kyle Smith and his teams through the years. They can get to the line.
Ebuka Okorie darts down the lane, and he has 10 already.
Yeah, he's just been a one-man wrecking crew for Stanford. My goodness, as he attacked the rack.
He is so quick. Last year's New Hampshire Gatorade Player of the Year. The 4-star recruit for the Cardinal. The first true freshman point guard to start an opening game since Tyrell Terry, and just the second in Stanford history.
Well, Roxy, that's a good possession for Stanford. That's how they've been playing. And when they play defense at that rate, they're going to get some extra possessions.
And this is a good defensive team that Stanford is going up against, as they were the best defensive team, Portland State, in the Big Sky last year.
Now, they were tough. They were very stingy.
Errant pass, Chisom Okpara racing up the floor, and he glides in, and the layup.
Well, he's added that to his game, Roxy. Defensively, he's been all around the ball. He's made steals, did it in this opener. He's doing it here again.
10 for Okorie, 5 for Okpara. They have all 15, and Stanford has their largest lead. On the drive, and the finish, Jalen Henderson. My goodness.
He stepped up on the elevator ride, Roxy, and he jammed it down over the top. Nobody up in the ozone up there.
Transfer from Louisiana Tech, explosive, and a 3 from Jeremy Dent Smith.
Well, that's how you answer a big play. You come down and just knock down a 3 like nothing happened. These teams are really going.
No, something happened. We saw.
Yeah, that was special.
I don't know if the production people at SportsCenter are taking notice, but that could be an SC top 10 dunk from Jalen Henderson. 7 on the shot clock, out of bounds to the Vikings.
Well, both teams can attack the basket, so when you catch, you're going to have to really get there. Let's take another look at that one.
We got to see this one again.
Oh, I mean, I saw it and I still don't believe it. Here's the takeoff, and that's just, I mean, all the way over the top with connection to the ball. Nobody was stopping that.
It was so nice we had to see it twice. Shot clock rolling down. I don't think Portland State realized it, and Kelsey Phipps driving, but a shot clock violation, and it goes to Stanford.
You're right, Roxy. Shot clock awareness, that's your guard, your point guard. You know, it can't come from the bench or the coaches. They're all the way at the other end of the floor. They've got to talk to each other and know that. Somebody's got to remind their teammates, hey, short clock, let's get it up.
Nice drop off from Dent Smith. A.J. Rahosi can't get the roll underneath, and it's ripped down by Kelsey Phipps. Here comes Portland State. Henderson. Jalen Henderson launching a 3, and the long rebound falls to Aiden Kamen for the Cardinal. Rahosi. And a foul will get A.J. Rahosi to the line for Stanford. 18-12, the Cardinal are up, and 10 points for the freshman. Ebuka Okorie leading the way early for Kyle Smith. Leading the way for the Cardinal in their season opener.
And Roxy, he can shoot it, so he's a threat, so it makes you hard to guard. But he plays with a tremendous change of pace. I mean, he has different gears. He plays fast to slow and then slow to fast. He explodes the basket and gets there on time. Really hard to guard.
4 of 5 from the floor for Okorie. And it's Stanford's 6-point lead, and the Cardinal with A.J. Rahosi at the line. Rahosi last year a second-team Division III All-American at Claremont Mudd College. And one more for Rahosi, who's from the North Bay, he's from San Anselmo, walked on for Kyle Smith at Washington State, was there for 2 years, then dropped down to the Division III level, now has rejoined Kyle Smith here at Stanford for his last year.
That's quite a journey.
Shot blocked and then stripped. Jeremy Dent-Smith with the quick hands. Took it away from Trevon Minot. Deep three from Dent-Smith. And the rebound tipped out to Trevon Minot. Here comes Portland State. Jalen Henderson in transition, and a foul will get him to the line. First on Dent-Smith. Jace Coburn, the head coach of Portland State, in his 5th year, 13th overall at Portland State. He was an assistant, worked at the junior college level where one of his mentors, Mark Adams, the former coach at Texas Tech, who's now at Ole Miss, was the guy he gave his break at the collegiate level.
Well, he told me today, hey, coach, I remember you at Arizona State, got to start there. Just many years back, used to go and attend games, but he's really paid his dues, Roxy. He's paid his dues as an assistant, big part of their success. And to see him now, he's had success as a head coach, but he's put his time in. He's a fiery guy, and his teammates, or his team, takes after his personality.
Went to Arizona State as an undergrad, got his degree, but as he was working a job, in addition to coaching high school basketball while he was going to Arizona State, he made a point every day with the guidance of Herb Sendek, who was the coach at Arizona State at the time. He allowed Jace Coburn to attend practice every day. So he was in the stands absorbing Herb Sendek running his practices on a daily basis, then implementing that stuff with his high school program, and that's what helped guide him to this spot now in his 5th year at Portland State.
And that was a good era, as you know, at Arizona State, so it's a good time to model a veteran coach like Herb Sendek, but he's paid his dues, coach has.
Shot clock down to 5. Jalen Henderson got away with a push-off. No, he didn't. And the foul on Henderson is first.
It was very subtle, Roxy, but the official, problem is, it was right in front of the official. There's the lean in and the arm, a little bit of both. And of course, I thought, Stanford sold it too. So if you're going to commit those fouls, don't do it in front of the official. Do it somewhere else.
4-point lead for the Cardinal. They have led by as many as 6. And a foul, the second on Keon Kenzie Jr. And Stanford in the bonus, and Chisom Okpara will head to the line.
Yeah, I like what Chisom Okpara is doing, Roxy. He's not settling. He can shoot the 3, and he's really improved that. He's shown that. But he's really catching, knifing the ball. He's catching the ball on the move, which is an important skill. He doesn't wait for the ball to get in his hands, then attack the defender. He's catching the ball, the pass, meeting the pass, and moving. And that's how he's drawing these fouls.
1 for 1 from the line, and 1-1 for Okpara. 69% from the line last year. And he'll earn the bonus.
Well, we've brought this up, but, Kyle Smith doesn't mind seeing this young man get to the line. He knows he can get there because he did it for his team at Harvard. He was really tough and very agile and adept at getting the ball and getting to the free throw line.
His sophomore year at Harvard, Okpara made the 2nd most free throws in the Ivy League that year. Came off the bench the majority of last season. Get the opportunity to start this year for the Cardinals. Last year at college basketball as the pull-up jumper missed by Jalen Henderson. That one deflected by Sebastian Tidor. Here comes Portland State. The freshman pull-up jumper, a tough one, banked in straight on by Alex Dupree.
Didn't call it, but didn't have to. It went down.
And a trip as Benny Gealer went crashing to the deck. And they get that one on Colt Ness.
Well, I like Stanford's ability now to come down and attack because they've got the bonus the remainder of the half. But, look at Kyle Smith, wherever he's been, and I've had a chance to follow his career all the way as an assistant through Columbia, through USF, Washington State, where he's coach of the year in the Pac-12, and what he's done in his first year here at Stanford. Just a remarkable job. You know, but when you watch him, it's so painstaking because Kyle, you know, he's such a perfectionist. He wants things to go well, but he pays attention to detail. His staff's the same way, and his teams improve. They get better. It's one of the, again, staples of his teams. They seem to get better every year, even within the season.
1 out of 2 for Benny Gealer, who last year was an 89% foul shooter. Academic all ACC pick last year as the Cardinal. Back up 4, stepping into a 3. That one rims off for Sebastian Tidor, but a foul on Stanford going for the rebound inside.
And there's the challenge, Roxy, that Stanford's going to have to face. Kyle Smith talked about it at length. He said, look, we're a good defensive team, but we're not great unless we can secure rebounds. And, you know, obviously this is a very aggressive team, Portland State, but you've got to put a body on your opponents and go up and secure rebounds, even if it means the guard's got to stay in.
Second foul on Aiden Campbell. And he'll sit with the 2 fouls as A.J. Rahosi comes back for him. Stanford a little bit short-handed up front as Donovan Young still battling that leg issue he's day-to-day. And no Evan Stinson tonight in the season opener. He's a little bit banged up, dealing with a little bit of a back problem. But he's day-to-day as well. And the quick hands at Stanford with a takeaway. Transition, Ryan Agarwal thought about it.
Yeah, good pressure by Portland State.
Chisom Okpara powering his way through and count the basket, a goaltend.
Well, that's good patience. That's a great step through. Really nothing going on until Okpara used his step through. That was an up and under. Got his defender up in the air, stepped through, got it off the glass, goaltending. That's just a good move. You can see showing the ball. You show your defender the ball, and then you get up and under and was able to get the ball off the glass. Really smart for post players. Use the glass.
Trevon Minot touching it while it was on the cylinder and using his strength to out-muscle Mose Downing Rivers down low.
Portland State's attacked the rim almost on every possession.
They go inside again. Through the double team, counted and one. Terry Miller Jr. for the Vikings.
Yeah, he's a load, Roxy. You've got to get a body on him. They try to get 2 and 3 guys down there. Once you get positioned that deep, watch he pounds it on the glass. He gets all the way. The help comes late. Too many dribbles to the basket. Benny Gealer trying to get down. He's late. And obviously, you know, post-to-post double didn't happen. So Miller's too tough. I mean, you allow him to get Terry Miller to the basket, he'll destroy you.
So Miller, the and one free throw.
Now, Kyle Smith's disappointed. He wanted that double team to come a lot earlier. Not on the catch, certainly on the dribble. You can get down there on the first dribble. Third dribble, too late.
He cuts the Stanford lead in half as Miller was granted an additional year of eligibility. That's that JC rule where they're not counting those JC years. And so he got another year from the NCAA because of it. He was second team All Big Sky last year. And a stoppage and a whistle underneath referee Paul Floor.
Well, this is keeping Stanford in good position just because they're able to draw fouls. I mean, a lot of time left in this half. And they're going to be in the double bonus. I mean, quick.
And 2 for Ebuka Okorie, who's now 2 for 2 from the line. And 11 points for the freshman. And Miller not getting a long break. Jace Coburn getting him right back in the game.
Well, we talked about this before, Roxy. It's one thing to get to the line, but Stanford can make free throws. They one of the better free throw shooting teams. So end of a half, they're in bonus, late game situations. They're going to really be a load the way they can shoot. They're a very adept free throw shooting team.
Okorie is half of Stanford's points. In case you're wondering what's the most points in a freshman debut, it's 19. And Okorie, the way he's going, will break that and ramming it home. Trevon Minot for Portland State.
And it's not just about Miller. They got Minot, and why not? He's tough.
The step through, Chisom Okpara lost control, and here come the Vikings. Sebastian Tidor, 3.
They're feeling it, Roxy. Portland State, you can see the confidence, and their coach is up on the sideline. He's into it.
They've tied the game, but Ebuka Okorie reclaims the lead for the Cardinal.
He just stays so calm when he's on the floor. Doesn't matter what the score is, doesn't matter what's happening momentum-wise. He just puts his team back on the map. I love to watch him operate.
17 against Oregon last Thursday. Now this is the first official game as Ryan Agarwal had it and then knocked down, and Portland State steps on the sideline. It belongs to Stanford. But the Vikings are hanging right in there with the Cardinal. 2-point game. 7:13 left first half. Seasons in a while for the Vikings. 19 wins last year, finished 3rd in the conference. And Portland State, one of the favorites, along with Montana, to win the Big Sky this year, is Ebuka Okorie missing a 3, and the rebound grab by Portland State and Trevon Minot. Minot, one of 3 players on this Portland State team, as we talked about Terry Miller Jr. earlier, as the foul on Chisom Okpara of Stanford is 2nd, but one of 3 players for Portland State that was granted a 6th year.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Once, now you could talk about 3, and that's a lot of experience. Those are guys that are veteran players that have been out on the floor, so tough to play against that type of experience.
Minot, Jalen Henderson, and Terry Miller Jr. Deflected, it stays with Portland State. They were all granted a 6th year by the NCAA, 2 of them because of the junior college situation, where Minot's was a little different, where he had to apply for a 6th year because of some hardships in his life and some real tough times, especially when he was at South Carolina, and the NCAA agreeing and allowing Minot to have that 6th year because of it.
Well, I'm all for the NCAA allowing young men to get opportunities. Now coaches are going to try to go out and take advantage of that rule as well, because it behooves you to go to junior college if you can't get an extra year.
Corner 3. And that one's too strong from Kelsey Phipps, and Stanford controls. Here is Ryan Agarwal.
Yeah, can Stanford find some other guys, Roxy, that, to score? 22 of the 26 points have come from Okorie and from Okpara, and they haven't had much scoring otherwise.
Cameron Grant missing a 3. Still Stanford clinging to that 2-point lead. Jose Downing Rivers, transfer from Missouri State, former junior college national champion, and Stanford picks up the loose ball. Jeremy Dent-Smith. Now the pull-up 3. And the rebound ripped down by Sebastian Tidor for Portland State. Nobody stopped the ball, and all the way to the basket, Mose Downing Rivers. Moses right down the lane, and we are tied.
Well, Kyle Smith didn't call that timeout. I think Chase called the timeout, but that'll give something on both ends to talk about. That's just, you don't see that happen very often against the Kyle Smith Stanford team. And transition, just nobody stopping the ball, just, no communication. And it's early, Roxy. This is, opening night. And so if those things are going to happen, they're going to happen early in the season. But you got to talk about it, because that's one thing you don't want to give up is transition baskets.
Kyle Smith and his team leading by as many as 6 here in the first half. And again, we alluded to the minutes and the players back for Kyle Smith. Yes, they lost a lot of production, certainly with Reynaud, Sellers, and Blake's gone. But over 50% of the minutes from a year ago returning for Stanford. They're the only team in the ACC that returns more than 50% of their minutes from last season.
Oh, that's impressive. So you got to make that work for you. That veteran look should help you. But again, they just got to find a couple things now offensively, a couple other options, because they're getting two guys carrying the load for him.
First appearance for Oscar Hielte, the freshman from Belgium, who's been dealing with some back spasms. Had made the start in the exhibition game against Oregon, but coming off the bench tonight. Here he is down low. Hielte underneath. And uses the window, somehow finagles that one up and in. Oscar Hielte.
Well, I like that, that came out of the timeout, Roxy. I like that approach. You got some size and mismatch down there. Go to work, and you got the team in double bonus, so go down low.
And there was some question if Stanford would have Hielte in this one, as a foul on the drive will get Kelsey Phipps to the line. First on Cameron Grant.
Yeah, you can see how difficult it is to contain Portland State. They really get to the rim. I mean, they turn the corner, and if you don't help early, getting help to the basket late's not going to help you. You got to get the ball stopped early, and I thought that Stanford did such a good job in their first game getting early stops on the ball, but having a little more difficulty with Portland State in that regard.
Spins out for Phipps, Southern California native. Sophomore who redshirted his first year at Portland State. Averaged 2 points a game, shot just 52% from the line. As Ebuka Okorie gets a breather. Phipps goes 1 for 2.
A lot of different lineups out here so far. You see teams making adjustments. Stanford throwing a lot of different players out. So chemistry an issue early in the season.
Nice pass by Grant to a cutting Agarwal. Ryan Agarwal gets his own miss. Creates some space, tries the reverse, using the rim to shield the shot from the shot blocker. Yeah. And a smart play by Agarwal will get him 2 free throws.
No, that's a heads up play. It's a veteran move. I mean, he's got the offensive rebound. He loses it, gets it back, and he's playing against a post guy that's pretty much just has his hands straight up. And you're playing against post guys that put their hands straight up in the air. You got to spin off their body, just what Ryan Agarwal did.
First on Sebastian Tidor. And one more for Agarwal, gets his first point of the night, the junior from Texas. 10 points, 5 boards in that exhibition game against Oregon for Agarwal.
Well, if you're Stanford now, you've got to get some stops because Portland State's dangerous. They've got Terry Miller just inserted back in the game, and he's a low. They're going to have to start with him. Find a way to guard him, keep him off the low block.
Agarwal, who came off the bench early last season, then started the rest of the way, started 29 games for Stanford a year ago. 3-point lead for the Cardinal. As Henderson challenged by Benny Gealer, and a travel is called against Stanford that goes right back to Portland State.
They had 2 guys on the ball, and again, you'd rather have 2 guys fighting for it, but they didn't communicate. Actually had 3 guys on the ball, and let the big guy get his rebound, I always say. Guards get out of the way. Big man had it. But, it's a good sign. You want 3 guys trying to secure the ball.
Here's Terry Miller Jr. Spin move, and then a foul going for the rebound. It's the 3rd on Trevon Minot, and that is a problem for Jace Coburn in Portland State.
Oh, that's huge. You don't want your big fella, your defensive stalwart, to get that 3rd foul this early in the game, and he's over the back. Not a lot of contact, but enough. And coach talking about it, like, man, you could have let that one go.
By the way, Jace Coburn, the rare coach, that's still wearing a suit on the sidelines.
No tie.
No tie.
I had to point that out.
Now, in this day and age, would you have gone with the pullover, or would you still worn a suit?
I've asked myself that too, Roxy. I don't know. I used to like my wardrobe. I had an ensemble. I mean, when you have an ensemble,
you spent a lot of money on your wardrobe. You wanted to show it off. I get it.
I had a clothing contract, Roxy. I didn't pay for that. I always had a clothing contract. Most coaches didn't. I did. Don't ask me how, but I did. I think Pat Riley had one too.
Loose ball. Gealer fighting for it with Jalen Henderson. The
Yeah,
arrow
great
belongs
hustle.
to Portland State.
Big possession.
3:39 left in the half. Stanford by Smith.
Well, he's got a lot of things that he'll discuss at halftime, but you know his team's got a lead and they're playing against a feisty team. This is a good Portland State team.
Portland State deep in the shot clock. Throws up a prayer. Loose ball. Hustling for it. Ebuka Okorie. And Stanford controls. Ryan Agarwal. And a tie-up. It's a Stanford ball.
Well, Roxy, the difference in this game so far now has been at the free throw line. Stanford getting there 14 times. That's the margin of their lead. Neither team has a lot of assists. Both teams having success driving the basketball and finding ways to score to the hole or get fouled.
Ryan Agarwal had it knocked away. And Portland State comes away from the pack. Jalen Henderson. And a corner three in transition is way off from Keon Kenzie Jr., but kept alive.
Second shots.
Shot clock down to 10 for the Vikings. Ebuka Okorie, the steal.
He's everywhere.
Good give and go, and Benny Gealer finds Okorie. And the quick burst by the freshman, and the rebound pulled down. Alex Dupree for Portland State. And that one deflected out, and a turnover committed by the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's 10 turnovers by Portland State. That's something Stanford did well, Ben, in the exhibition game against a good Oregon team. Now, the Ducks were playing without their regular point guard in Jackson Shellstad in that game, but they forced Oregon into 19 turnovers in that exhibition game last Thursday.
Well, that was huge, and limited themselves to zero or turnovers throughout most of the first half.
Okorie to the bucket.
Well, he's so powerful to the rack. Roxy's very strong with his right, but he can use either one. But he's just had a whale of a game. Just a tremendous first half for the Cardinals.
16 for Ebuka Okorie. And way off with the leaner from Dupree. And A.J. Rahosi and Dupree. And the held ball, it'll go to Portland State. 8 on the shot clock, no reset, as there was no change of possession.
Portland State's done a good job crashing the offensive glass and coming up with a couple of offensive rebounds. Short clock here, Roxy. You have to really pay attention to Terry Miller. Got to guard him, play him inside out.
Again, 8 on the timer. Jalen Henderson gets inside and off balance, and there is Ebuka Okorie for Stanford pulling it down.
Good defense by Stanford. Did a nice job.
And Okorie tried the scoop, and the rebound pulled down. Sebastian Tidor for Portland State. Final 90 seconds of this first half. Nice pass by Miller and a foul, and went sprawling to the deck and slow to get up is Jalen Henderson.
Well, that was a really nice give and go. I mean, pass and really quick basket cut. Here's the high post, though, just a push pass off the catch. You know, coaches work on that, teams work on that. That's a tremendous play.
Foul was on Benny Gealer, and Henderson collecting himself and ready to go from the line.
Well, that basket cut's so hard to guard because you have to turn your head to see both man and ball, and when usually you lose sight of one.
Too strong from Jalen Henderson, the senior from Wichita. Preseason All-Big Sky Henderson, second year at Portland State after a year at Louisiana Tech.
Well, he's shot some threes in his career. He put up 170 a year ago. So he can shoot it, but he can also drive it. He's aggressive. Here's Stanford now. Roxy, you got to try to get back on the glass. You know you've got free throw advantage, and you've got the other team in the bonus.
Wide open look, too strong from Cameron Grant. A.J. Rahosi on the offensive glass. And the putback by A.J. Rahosi. His first points as a Cardinal.
He's nifty, Roxy. He's very adept around the basket. He's had the ball there several times this game. Finally was able to make it score.
And a steal for Stanford. The Cardinal working on their largest lead. And a miss by Jeremy Dent-Smith pulled down Portland State. About a 12-second differential. To the bucket, the lay-in, Keon Kenzie Jr.
Again, transition defense. Here's Stanford now. You can play for the last shot and only give Portland State about a 3-second differential to come down and score. So you want to exhaust this clock.
Benny Gealer on the drive. Gets to the basket, and Benny Gealer lays it in. 5 seconds. Dupree. And a steal, and chucking at the length of the floor, way off from Jeremy Dent-Smith. But Stanford has matched their largest lead. 7 points up on Portland State, and a strong close of the half by Stanford.
Nice finish by Stanford. They extended the lead, but they had to work. This is a tough assignment for them. Portland State, they're playing with aggression. Play that forced a turnover, but you don't want to make them self-inflicted. So interesting now, Stanford with the ball, Roxy, they're going to have a chance to increase this lead and see if they can, again, maybe find some other ways to score.
A little bit of a tweak in the Stanford lineup to start the second half. They're going big with A.J. Rahosi and Aiden Kamen, along with Chisom Okpara. Up and under by Okpara, who lays it in. And the largest lead for the Cardinal.
Yeah, I mentioned that coming out, and that didn't shock me to see Stanford immediately find the mismatch and go right to the rim, and they did it.
Stanford with 3 bigs on the floor. Off balance, tough fadeaway, Keon Kenzie Jr. A wild shot, and Benny Gealer back the other way. Inside A.J. Rahosi. And he goes at Trevon Minot, who was playing with 3 fouls, and he caught him in a defensive position. And now it's a double-figure lead for the Cardinal.
You see the size paying off for Stanford. Both possessions inside to the post plays with results.
The lob at the rim, and it rims out on the alley-oop to Trevon Minot. Back the other way. Ebuka Okorie in one. Tremendous start to the second half for Stanford.
You couldn't have drawn up this start any better than what Stanford's done. They've come out defensively, in transition, gotten the ball up the court, first 2 possessions in the block, down on the block to score. They've gotten there, but they're dangerous. If you turn it over, they're going to make you pay.
And a free throw good by Okorie, and he has now tied the Stanford record for points by a freshman in a Stanford debut.
Well, we said he probably would break that record today, and we were right. At least we think we're right. He's got 1 more to go.
And Stanford has blitzed Portland State 7 straight to start the second half. And a travel.
Yeah, that's a good call. And again, Stanford's defense really is digging in. It's, you look at the offense and that they've scored, they've converted every possession, but it's defensively where they've really hurt Portland State. They've gone out, pressured, caused turnovers, and that's paid off.
Coming into tonight, in which now Okorie has tied it, the record was held by Zaire Williams, who scored 19 in his first game with Stanford as a freshman. That came at the Maui Invitational, the COVID year, when the Maui Invitational was played in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah, no, I remember back then. Well, that's an unfortunate foul. Inadvertent, but nonetheless a foul.
And that's the 3rd on Terry Miller Jr. He's got 3. Trevon Minot has 3, and some real problems for Portland State. Strip from Okorie, and here comes Colt Ness for the Vikings. Left open, Sebastian Tidor, 3.
Good ball movement by the Vikings. That's a great job. You went for the steal, you got burned, didn't get it. Had a tough time recovering.
And that's a block. And the second foul on Colt Ness.
Well, this big lineup has given Stanford the edge this half. It's a hunch that Kyle Smith had. He said before the game he can play big if he wants. He can play big, play small. He chose big, and it's paid off.
Benny Gealer. And the rebound falls to Chisom Okpara. And a foul, and if that's on Minot, that's 4.
Well, he's not going to like the call, but that's an offensive rebound. Again, the size really hurting Portland State. Stanford has the luxury of playing big when they want to, and it's paying off.
4 on number 4. And Trevon Minot's going to have to sit for a bit. And the first is good by Chisom Okpara.
I'm sure Chisom Okpara likes this, Rox. He gets to play the 3 a little bit, maybe step out, knock down a couple of 3-point shots, but he's been just a real thorn in Portland State's side to the basket. He's been so tough inside. That's 2 games in a row where he's been delivering for his team.
Now 4 for 5 at the line, 12 for Okpara. And the Stanford lead is 13. Drop off and missing the lane, Keon Kenzie Jr. and a foul in frustration going for the steal after missing the layup.
Well, it's been a little tougher now for Portland State to score because they're going over bigger, longer players. So, again, not only offensively is Stanford taking advantage of their size, they've made it work for them defensively. I always like bigger guys starting, Roxy, and bringing off smaller guys. It's just kind of the way I like to play, and I think there's some advantages to it. You know, big guys sometimes don't, they need to warm up a little bit. Get them out there early, let them play, and then guards come off. Guards can come in game play anytime. So I like this move personally, and it's definitely worked for Stanford.
Third foul on Keon Kenzie Jr. Benny Gealer. And that's an offensive foul crashing into Terry Miller Jr.
Yep, left.
And the second on Gealer.
Right idea, but left his feet. Well, now Stanford's going to go with a substitution. Benny Gealer will take a seat, but that's a good start for this unit. I think Stanford might have discovered something here. He came in, and now he's starting, and this is a good lineup.
Deep 3. And the stroke from Sebastian Tidor, his third 3 tonight.
Yeah, you better get out and locate him. He's found his range.
And they calling it out of bounds or a foul?
I think they did not call the foul. Just said it's white ball. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. Here's the post up.
No foul was called, and it appears, okay, the call was made that Terry Miller Jr. was touching the basketball while he was out of bounds. That's why it's a baseline throw-in for Stanford.
Yeah, I thought both players were out of bounds, depending on who touched it first. But let's play on. I like there's no foul call in that possession. You hate to see Miller pick up a foul. Now he's playing with 4. But
Jamel Spearman may have done him a favor.
Yes. Well, Stanford's making Portland State defend inside. That's a smart move.
And stepped on the sideline. That's a Stanford giveaway, as Jeremy Dent-Smith was out of bounds.
Well, he'll probably say he was forced out, but there's no such move as a forced out anymore. That play's been eliminated from all levels of basketball. If you're Stanford, you better locate the 3-point line.
Stepping out for a 3, rattles off for Terry Miller Jr. And Stanford pulls it down. Offensive foul on Dent-Smith called for the charge.
Yeah, it's the second time a Stanford player has left their feet and gone airborne. got to jump stop or you got to go straight up. But he had a drop off underneath too. That was a right pass actually. However, the charge took precedent. Good job by Portland State getting in the right position. They scrapped. They want you to drive it, and then they get in the passing lanes and driving lanes. They do a nice job.
And they're getting another foul on Jeremy Dent-Smith, and that's his third.
That looked like it was a pretty lot of ball there. That was a pretty quick whistle. Jeremy Dent says, all right, I might have charged the last time. I'll take that, but that was pretty clean. A lot of whistles early in this half.
Early in the season, you always get a high number of whistles, right? As the new rules are being enforced, the way the game is going to get called this season, and players have to figure it out, and they ease their way in.
Yep, it's an adjustment period.
Open for three, and the stroke from Alex Dupree.
Roxy, Stanford's got to get out to the three-point line. They've really given up that lead by allowing three-point shots to be taken and scored.
A 7-point lead for the Cardinal as Portland State has cut a 14-point lead in half. 6 straight now for the Vikings. And they come in transition again. Jalen Henderson hits a three. Timeout Stanford. And it's a 4-point game, 9-0 run for the Vikings.
Now you've got Okorie back in the game, and he's been a factor. Every time Stanford's just really struggled, he's put the ball in his hands and made something happen.
Along with Ben Braun, our ACC network crew, Roxy Bernstein with you. The opener for Stanford and Portland State, it was a 14-point Cardinal lead. It is now 4, and Stanford a turnover.
Well, and Okorie just, talked to Agarwal and said, hey, stay in that corner. I was going to find you, big fella.
Kyle Smith and the Cardinal trying to figure things out after they're up 14. Portland State has come roaring back. Second half, and for Stanford to get control of this game again, Ben, what do you need to see from the Cardinal?
Well, defensively, they've got to stop the penetration. They've gotten burned on penetration and then overhelped and gotten beat by three-point shots this half. So just contain the ball, stay on your feet.
Trying to backdoor lob, and they're calling an illegal screen out top. And the push on Alex Dupree waves off the alley-oop attempt. And the second on Dupree.
Well,
Chase Coburn clearly doesn't agree with the call.
No, that probably would have been a look. I mean, here's the back screen. Here it is, the back screen and a move the last second. Yeah, that's a foul. That's a good call by the officials, no question about that. And now if you're Stanford, can you take advantage of that turnover?
And a foul inside.
I really like what Stanford just did on this last possession. That's how they started this half, Roxy. They are going back to trying to gain that dominance inside. I mean, Okpara on the block. Portland State doesn't have an answer for that.
And Stanford's in the bonus for the rest of the night.
They were the first half.
That is the 7th team foul and a 1-and-1 for Chisom Okpara.
Yeah, you don't want to depend on outside shots to get you back in this game. You have guys inside that can score. Okpara's, I mean, he can live at the line if he wants to.
And Hiller in the bonus. Now 5 for 6 at the stripe.
And here comes the heavy artillery again, Roxy. They're going big. I mean, there's no question. They're going back to the lineup that started that run. I think that's a good move. Question is, can this big lineup contain the penetration of the quick Portland State guards? We'll find out.
14 for Okpara, one off a Stanford high at 15 last year against Boston College. Three off the mark from Alex Dupree.
That's better defense by the Stanford Cardinal.
A.J. Rahosi. And Aiden Kamen on the weak side, and the putback by Kamen.
Well, that's the advantage of the size, Roxy. Your post guys are trying to help out. Now there's loose offensive rebounds available on the glass.
First points for Kamen tonight. And Stanford has pushed the lead out to 8. Open for 3. That's way off from Colt Ness. The strip, and Terry Miller Jr. with the hands for Portland State.
That's good defense by the Vikings. Good active hands.
And Okorie hustling back, knocks it out of bounds. It stays with the Vikings.
That was a good save. That was a good penetration and find in the corner. Okorie had presence of mind to go to the corner and break that up. Watch, here's the drive. And Okorie knew just where he was going to go with that ball. Sometimes when you're a point guard, you kind of know where that ball's heading. But he'll be on the bench probably through the next TV timeout. They can't afford to sit him for long.
Sebastian Tidor. Terry Miller Jr. 3.
Well, he can do that. That's not a fluke. He's tough inside, but he's very capable from the three-point line.
Second 3 for Miller tonight. Portland State has made 5 shots on the floor in the second half. All 5 have been outside the arc. And that's a kick. And they'll put 20 back up on the shot clock for Stanford.
Well, Stanford's, their bread and butter early in this game was to go inside, and they've got the size to do it. Let's see if they go back, try to get a post up and take advantage of that bonus situation.
Benny Gealer trying to turn the corner, lost his footing. And a tie up, and it belongs to Portland State.
You can see the quickness from Portland State, Roxy. They're very quick. They're moving their feet. They've got a lot of quickness on the floor.
And it's not an accident when you have the best defensive numbers in a conference.
No,
they work hard defensively, and they buy in to what Jace Coburn, who is a defensive-minded coach, wants them to do.
And they'll press you. They're relentless with their pressure. That's what they do.
They learned from one of the best defensive minds in college basketball in Mark Adams. Terry Miller Jr. the miss, and Stanford pulls it down. And a whistle off the ball, and that's 4 on Miller.
Well, I like, again, that Stanford's using their presence to post inside. And that's where they can really hurt Portland State. You can see it as an early post-up here, and there's a push. I mean, you don't want to let people get post position on you, whether it's a high post or low, and you're taught to deny that area, but you got to keep your hands in. Your elbows and your arm bar has to be into your body. Once you extend it, the officials will get you.
A.J. Rahosi hits the front end of the 1-and-1. One more coming for Rahosi. And that's, again, the 4th foul on Miller.
Well, that's a big loss if he has to sit, because he just knocked down a 3. Now he has to sit long. He's knocked down a 3, and he's a guy that you have to design your defense around.
A.J. Rahosi hits both the unconventional free throw stroke, but it works, and Stanford is up 7. So Miller is on the bench now with his 4. They have brought back Trevon Minot and his 4 fouls. Travel on Jalen Henderson.
That's
turnover number 16 on Portland State.
That's a good call. Good help side by Stanford. They forced the drive in that game over there and helped, which caused the travel. See if Stanford can take advantage of the turnover on this end of the floor.
Errant pass and a steal. Kelsey Phipps glides to the basket.
That cross-court pass, Roxy, is a no-no. If you're going to throw that, it better be hard. That was a floater. Picked off.
Jeremy Dent-Smith, 3.
Well, he's capable, Roxy. He hadn't hit his first couple, but he shot that with confidence. He can put the ball in the basket. Great find by Benny Gealer.
Last year, Dent Smith, Cal State, Dominguez Hill's season scoring record. And he was a 35% three-point shooter. And a wild shot, and Jalen Henderson struggling to get back. Dent Smith nearly made him pay with his second three in a row, but a back tap and a heady play by Benny Gealer.
Well, that's a great play by Benny Gealer. He chased that ball down and got it right back to his teammate for a reload.
Chisom Okpara off balance, and the rebound tip free, and here comes Jalen Henderson for the Vikings. Just bowls his way to the basket, runs over Gealer, and the foul is called on Benny Gealer. Portland State to the line. 10:56 to go. 8-point lead. Stanford, Portland State, the opener.
Point shooting, I mean, they've got some guys that step back and get very comfortable at the three-point line. It's come off of penetration, it's come in transition, and they've been very comfortable from three. Stanford's got to get out to the three-point line, but they've got to contain the ball at the initial point of attack. There's the stats. You can see what they've done now in this second half, night and day. 5 out of 8. Stanford only 1 out of 3.
They've made 6 field goals in the second half. You saw 5 threes. The other was a dunk.
Well, they've got to do this now. Portland State, with Miller sitting out, that's an advantage for Stanford if they can take advantage of it.
Foul trouble for Portland State. 4 for Terry Miller Jr., who's on the bench, and 4 for Trevon Minot, who was on the floor right now. And it's deflected out, the hustle by Keon Kenzie Jr.
They're trying to go inside to Chisom Okpara, but great defensive move by Portland State to get around in the post and knock it out of bounds. Got a little bit of a short clock now. If you're Stanford, you got to try to get the ball back on the block, score to the basket if you can. They've got an advantage.
Okorie fading away. 21 for Ebuka Okorie, in the new freshman record for points in a debut belongs to Ebuka Okorie.
He's so powerful to the basket, uses that glass to perfection.
Offensive foul. That's the 4th on Alex Dupree.
Roxy, look at the body control here of Okorie getting to the basket. He gets by you with your body. Once he gets his hip by your hip, it's over. And he's able to get it off the glass. Really uses the window. That's a skill.
Here's Ebuka Okorie again. Chisom Okpara in the lane.
Boy, has he been aggressive to the basket. He's gotten in the lane. Nobody on Portland State can stay with him at the rim. He's just big, too strong.
10-point Stanford lead, back to double digits, and the most points for Okpara in a Stanford uniform, but he has fouled. Sebastian Tidor will get to the line. 16 for Okpara, 21 for Okorie. And just past the midway point of the second half, a double-figure lead for Stanford, although Tidor headed to the line for Portland State.
Well, if you're Stanford, you don't want to start fouling and put Portland State to the line where they can stop the clock and pressure a little bit, make them continue to play against you, knock down contested shots. They had a couple of shots that they gave up that were uncontested. Big difference between contested shots, uncontested shots.
Sebastian Tidor hits both. He has 11. Jalen Henderson leading Portland State with 14.
Well, Stanford's 2 big weapons have been Okorie and Okpara to the rim.
And off the hands of A.J. Rahosi, was fired into the post by Chisom Okpara.
And
Stanford a turnover.
And he was open. And when post guys are open, Rox, you got to give them the ball right away. He had big time position. You got to find a man when they're open, and maybe take a little bit off that one. That was a rocket.
So now Jace Coburn rolling the dice. He's got both Trevon Minot and Terry Miller Jr. on the floor with 4 fouls apiece.
Well, only one can foul out first. So it's, you got to play to win, Roxy. I'm okay with that. They came up here to play and to win. They're not here to play close. They're trying to win this game.
Left open, Sebastian Tidor. And the rebound tip to Terry Miller Jr. The kick out on the reload. Jalen Henderson the miss, and Jeremy Dent-Smith pulls it down and pushes for the Cardinal. Transition 3, in and out for Ebuka Okorie. And a foul going for the rebound on Stanford. Team foul number 6 on the Cardinal.
That's a good call by the officials.
First on A.J. Rahosi.
Well, it's always a gamble when you play your two, better players, and they've got 4. But if you sit and Stanford increases this lead, you're going to wish you'd played them. I'm with Coach on this one. Play them.
Here's Miller looking to back his way in. Deep 3. Too strong from Sebastian Tidor, and A.J. Rahosi gives way to Ebuka Okorie on the rebound for the Cardinal.
Good possession by the Cardinal defensively. They stayed grounded.
Left open in the corner. 3! Ebuka Okorie.
Well, I like what Jeremy Dent-Smith did. He knew Okorie's got a hot hand. He got his teammate the ball.
And the bump, the second foul on Okorie.
Yeah, and he knew it. He just got there late, tried to draw his hands back, but the body contact took place.
1 and 1 for Jalen Henderson.
And this may be a little counterintuitive, Roxy. Wouldn't be surprised to see Stanford, maybe if they're fouling like this, go to a little bit of a zone, which will maybe call off the fouls, but then you have the danger of playing against a team that can knock down the 3. But it's funny how some teams shoot it better against man than they do against the zone for whatever reason. The good news about a zone is you're usually in position out on the perimeter to guard, but then you give up rebounds and maybe some offensive possessions there.
1 and 1 for Henderson. 5 for 7 from the line. And one more coming for Jalen Henderson.
Well, Stanford's going to a 3-guard lineup. They've got 3 small guards in, and we'll see how this plays out.
Henderson hits both. If you're Kyle Smith, you know that Minot has 4, although they have taken Miller off the floor for the time being. Would you look to attack him and try to get him out of the game?
Yeah, you can do it either by the post-up or the drive.
And the bump, and it's the 3rd on Colt Ness, and it's Jeremy Dent-Smith that will go to the line after the timeout. 7:57 to go. Stanford up 9 on Portland State at Maples. For Ebuka Okorie, the New Hampshire native, setting a record for the most points by a Stanford freshman in their collegiate debut.
Well, and Roxy, he's done it from everywhere on the floor. He's knocked down 3s, he's gotten to the rim, he's hit the pull-up, so he's an all-purpose player. Really has a lot of gears that he can play, and he shows you how effective he can be. He's a special player.
The move aside, Zaire Williams, the new record holder, is Ebuka Okorie. And 2 shots for Jeremy Dent-Smith.
Well, Stanford's going to continue to live at the line if they can, because that's a way to stay, keep this lead intact.
Last year, the D2 All-American led Cal State Dominguez Hills to the national championship game at the Division II level. And he's got 8 points in his Stanford debut tonight. He averaged 19 a game last year for Dominguez Hills.
Well, he's a strong guard. He can do a lot of things as well. Good compliment to Okorie and Benny Gealer.
And that's way short from Colt Ness. Ebuka Okorie weaving his way through traffic. Benny Gealer, 3!
And how about Okorie giving a dime up to his teammate, Benny Gealer, who was due. Benny was due to hit a 3. And
Stanford has matched their largest lead now. Terry Miller Jr. barrels his way inside in the flip.
And you can see how easy it is for him to score. He can use either hand, inside, outside player.
Last touch by Sebastian Tidor stays down here with Stanford.
Stanford doesn't have to be in a hurry, Roxy. They've got the ball in the lead, yet you don't want to go into a deep freeze either, but you got to, you know, maybe massage the ball a little bit. But here's the last 3. Benny Gealer was feeling it. I think he was maybe happy and gracious to get that open look. Hasn't had many, nor has Stanford had many open looks.
A.J. Rahosi in the lane, rattles and goes for A.J. Rahosi.
He gives them some presence inside, Roxy. He's 6'10", all is 6'10", and can go over either shoulder. He's a low down low.
And athletic. 6:45 remaining. Does Portland State have another run in them? Kelsey Phipps. Jalen Henderson drives. The fadeaway from Henderson, and the rebound tipped free by Benny Gealer, but grabbed by Sebastian Tidor for Portland State. And then gliding in, the miss from Jalen Henderson. The tip wouldn't go, and Stanford pulls it down. Jeremy Dent-Smith down the lane, and a foul will get him to the line.
You know, Roxy, this is a different look from Stanford, and I think, you know, it's interesting to see, but Stanford's not sitting on the ball. They're pushing the ball in transition. The miss takes place. They're taking advantage of their quickness, their ability with their size to rebound, get it out, and they're getting some advantages in transition before the defense gets set.
One more for Jeremy Dent-Smith. Second foul on Kelsey Phipps. And there is Terry Miller Jr. coming back for Jace Coburn and Portland State, down 14 to Stanford with 6:12 to go.
Well, they've got to get back in this game, certainly defensively, stop Stanford in transition, but they've got to find ways to score. They've been in a little bit of a drought.
9 now for Dent-Smith, and the Cardinal have their largest lead of the night. Led by 7 at the half. Portland State cut it to 4 here in the second half. And Stanford has pushed it out to 15 as Portland State has made just 1 of their last 9 from the field. Kelsey Phipps hits a 3.
That's the danger when you're playing with Miller in the game, Roxy. You've got to go down and double him. When you do, you've got 3 open three-point shots.
And a whistle. And it's an offensive foul on Stanford. And they're getting it on A.J. Rahosi.
Well, again, that's just, you know, that's a turn here where you're giving up the ball. Don't want to turn it over, but here's that look to the basket. And here's the foul up top. But, you know, if you're Stanford now, this game's not over. You got to play through the end of this game.
And corner 3. And the roll for Sebastian Tidor.
What do we have, Rox? We have it under 10 now, single digits.
4-3 for Tidor tonight, and the Vikings come away with it. 6 straight for Portland State. And Tidor stepped on the sideline.
Well, that's a break for Stanford. Don't look now. He hits that shot in the corner, or dumps it inside. That's a 2-possession game. A huge turnover for Portland State, a break for Stanford.
18 Portland State turnovers tonight. But on the other end, Stanford, uncharacteristically of a Kyle Smith team, they've turned it over 16 times.
Yeah,
and 10 here in the second half.
Yeah, and that's beyond what has been their, you know, their game. They don't usually turn it over.
Dent-Smith, deep three. Jeremy Dent-Smith.
Well, we wondered where the scoring was going to come from, Roxy. I think we might see a culprit here, a good culprit, I might add.
3 threes for Dent-Smith, and Stanford steals it. Ahead to Benny Gealer. Wide open for the lay-in. Timeout Portland State, and just like that, Stanford goes on a burst and a 14-point lead.
That's huge, Roxy, because without those turnovers and the transition baskets, this is a tight game. Very big turn of events for Stanford, but they made their own breaks by getting out in transition, getting some stops, and turning it and converting in transition for easy score.
5
really with ease, no strain on his shot, and Kyle Smith has given him, as he should, the green light, and it's paid off. But now you got, as I mentioned earlier, you've got a Stanford team on the floor now that also shoots free throws. So that's going to be an advantage for this team if they can maintain the lead late game, because they're going to knock down free throws.
And Stanford also hitting their shots from the field, 63% in the second half.
Well,
and
now
they've gone 4 for 7 from 3.
Now you see a little bit of a zone look for Stanford. They're going to try to avoid fouling, make them take some clock to attack. They're in the zone.
Terry Miller Jr. And the jump hook rattles out, and the rebound controlled. Here comes Benny Gealer for the Cardinal.
Yeah, I like the zone by Kyle Smith.
Chisom Okpara had it poked out of bounds. Thought he was home free, and he hustled back by Colt Ness.
You know, Portland State shows you their mettle. I mean, that should be a layup, but that's just great hustle by Portland State. They're all over the court.
Okpara underneath. And then had his shot changed, and Portland State comes away with it. Jalen Henderson shovels it inside, and the slam, Trevon Minot.
All right, if you're in the Big Sky, Roxy, you got to watch this Portland State team. They are explosive. They can score on you in a hurry.
Jeremy Dent-Smith. And the offensive rebound, Aiden Camden had it knocked away. Here comes Ness for Portland State. And a pretty move by Colt Ness. Timeout, Stanford.
Yeah. This game's a long way from over. If you're Stanford, Roxy, you must take care of the basketball, number one, not turn it over, and use the clock. Use the clock. You got the time on your side. Don't quick shoot it. And if you're Stanford, either draw a foul by the drive or the post up.
And get the ball in this guy's hands.
I think so. That's paid dividends, no question.
Backdoor, Benny Gealer hangs. And a foul is called and a block.
That's a smart play by Benny Gealer. He was being overplayed, got to the basket, and drew the foul. But that's good. That took up time and got them. Great pass by Okpara. I thought that was a great move. Benny Gealer able to draw some contact. So you eat up some time, increase the lead at the free throw line, and now get your defense set and try not to stop the clock on this end.
Trevon Minot is fouled out. That's 5 on the big man.
Yeah, that's a loss because he's your defensive anchor. It's tough to score on him. A break for Stanford, but I commended Coach Coburn for playing his guys. They were in this game to play. They weren't going to decide this game without their best players being on the floor.
And Benny Gealer nails the first free throw.
Well, we talked about it, you know, I hope it'll play out, but Stanford's got some guys that can nail shots down the stretch if they get to the line.
And Gealer hits both. He's in double digits with 10. And Stanford with 4 players at double figures, led by the 24 from Ebuka Okorie.
They're in the zone again.
Tough 3 in the corner and a hit for Sebastian Tidor.
Yeah, got to live with that. He's knocked 3 of those down already. You know, if they hit that shot, you got to commend them. That's a tough shot.
5 threes for Tidor. Ebuka Okorie finding Chisom Okpara.
Oh, how about that play by Chisom Okpara?
Tidor again. And here comes Stanford back the other way. Benny Gealer skipped to the bucket, missed the layup. It's last touch by, they say, the Cardinal. It belongs to Portland State.
Well, Stanford's not sitting on the clock, Roxy. They're trying to push the ball. The new look Stanford, they're saying, look, you're trying to crash the glass on us. We're going to push the ball out, coming back at you, and they have. Here's the zone again. Kyle Smith will play zone.
Benny Gealer, the steal, took it away from Sebastian Tidor.
Love the look, Roxy. Changes up the momentum, changes up the attack. Something a little different. Great call by Kyle Smith and his staff.
Chisom Okpara. Up and under. Okpara draws the foul and 1.
Well, he's feeling it, Roxy. He knows that he can't be stopped and checked down there. Look at him on the crossover, loses the ball, gets it back, just keeps pivoting, keeps his pivot feet down, draws contact. Well, he's made a living down here.
Second Portland State player to foul out. Alex Dupree is done for the night.
Well, this is, again, you know, talk about Chisom Okpara. He's not shying away from contact. I think a year ago he hurried himself, kind of avoided contact. He's embracing contact now, and he's being rewarded by getting to the line.
The second year in this system, Ben, and the second year of playing for Kyle Smith, how much more comfortable is he?
Well, he is. I mean, you can see just in his play, he knows his role. He's been giving some freedom. He's given the ball at different spots on the floor, and he's taking advantage of it.
The teardrop and the roll for Jalen Henderson. Timeout, Portland State.
Just amazing what a difference a year makes. I think Aiden Kemen, the same thing. He's stepped his game up. Benny Gealer stepped his game up. You know, you gain a lot from a junior to a senior, sophomore to a junior. You know, a year under your belt really pays off for you, and you can see the comfort level. Plus, you have a new coach, new system, a whole new staff. So that's an adjustment period. But Kyle Smith has given his players freedom.
"21 wins last year for Stanford. And for Kyle Smith, and a tremendous season a year ago, a 7-win improvement from the year before, and the most wins for a Stanford team since the 2014-2015 season, when they also had 21. And Benny Gealer is bumped way outside.
Well, Kyle Smith, you know, I call him the professor. He's able to do things, analytically. He's always been ahead of the game. He gets the most out of his players. I mean, what he did at Washington State was nothing short of remarkable. Pac-12 Coach of the Year, won up there, and just really played well. Had some really good seasons there. Phenomenal last season before he came here to the farm. But he's always done that, and he's put together a veteran staff. You know, you talk about Eric Reveneau and Jim Shaw. These are guys that have been coaching for years, and I've known these guys. They're respected as some of the top coaches in the country.
Benny Gealer hits both free throws. Now 5 of 6 at the line. 12 points for the senior from San Pedro in Southern California. And a 14-point cushion for the Cardinal. A 3, Terry Miller Jr. And the last timeout for Portland State with 67 seconds remaining.
Roxy, teams in the Big Sky are going to get a copy of this game, and they're going to see Portland State, and they're going to know that it's nice to have guys that have been given opportunities. Their time will come, but when your team needs you, you step up, you do the job. That's what team basketball is all about.
Full court pressure for the Vikings. 84-73 Stanford as the Cardinal trying to win their 15th consecutive home opener. And a foul before a second was able to tick off.
Yeah, this lineup on the floor for Stanford, you get used to it, because if they're in a position, as Kyle Smith and I joked about it, if they're up in games, this lineup can salt games away. These three guards are not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're just not going to turn the ball over, and I think they're all very capable of knocking their free throws down. They're 80+% free throw shooters, so that really works in Stanford's favor.
One more for Ebuka Okorie.
Well, you can now start thinking a little bit, Roxy, about our big matchup on Saturday in Montana. That should be a heck of a matchup here down the farm. Two really good basketball teams.
Losing control, Colt Ness. Leaking out, Benny Gealer. The drop off. And it falls off for Jeremy Dent-Smith, and it wouldn't go for Ebuka Okorie. The lob and the lay-in. Sebastian Tidor with 19 to lead Portland State.
Well, Portland State's not going away, Roxy. They're not going to probably get back in this game unless a miracle happens, but they're playing hard. This team really gets after you.
And a foul before the inbound pass again on the Vikings. And a hold. And it's on Kelsey Phipps.
Yep, no, officials are trying to say, look, that's a hold now. Stop arguing. But again, you're talking about three veteran guards. I mean, two veteran guards and a freshman who's playing like a veteran. What a game he's had. I don't think we can talk about that enough. I mean, you mentioned setting a freshman record at Stanford. That's a feat. But just when Stanford was struggling, Roxy, it was Ebuka Okorie that kept him and his team in this game. Huge outing for the freshman.
26 for Ebuka Okorie tonight. 7 rebounds as well for the freshman. And Dent-Smith hits both.
I think we'll have an opportunity to interview this freshman, Roxy. He's earned that. Stay tuned.
He's done everything else tonight. Why shouldn't he talk?
Stay tuned.
Terry Miller Jr., the drop-off. Sebastian Tidor hits another three.
Yeah, you don't want to relax against this team, Roxy. Thank goodness for Stanford, there's enough time on the clock to hold out. But if you're up on Portland State, you think the game's over, these guys can come back on you in a hurry. I mean, they really are showing you their arsenal of knocking down shots.
Tidor, first Division I game tonight, couple of years at Roane State Community College in Tennessee. And recruited to Portland State, the Dallas, Georgia native, has had a strong effort tonight. 6 threes, 22 points, 7 rebounds, and a bright spot for Jace Coburn and Portland State with the performance of Tidor tonight.
Now, this was a good game for them to come play, talk to coach and the staff. This is an excellent game for them. They gave Stanford all they could handle, and this will be a good game moving forward.
And a foul on the other end of the court, a hold on Tidor as he grabbed, and they're calling a flagrant 1 on Tidor. He grabbed Aiden Kamen, which means
intentional.
2 shots and the ball for Stanford, a flagrant 1.
Yep. That's an automatic. Yeah, that's just an automatic. They want to put somebody else to the line, and
it's the old hack-a-shack.
Yeah. But that's the only chance they have to get back in the game. They have to stop the clock, Roxy, and hope Stanford misses free throws. So it's worth a try.
But it's 2 shots from Kamen.
Kamen's
just a 48% foul shooter last year. That's why they wanted to foul him. But the problem is, it was not a basketball play. They just grabbed him way away from the ball.
Yeah, there's a way you can play, but that the percentages don't lie. And he came away with 1 for 2. But like you say, now he gets the ball out of bounds. That's not much of an advantage. You gain the point and the possession. So, but this is what you have to do sometimes. You stretch the game out, you foul, you hope teams miss free throws. Got a smart play. Clock's your friend.
Benny Gealer. And has his shot blocked, and it's out of bounds. It belongs to Portland State. And there's 12.8 remaining.
Well, it's a turnover, Roxy, but it's a 30-second turnover. You live with that. The game's over. You just don't want to give it back. But this is a good win for Stanford. They played against a really game opponent in Portland State. And there are a lot of teams that aren't going to want to play this Portland State team. But Stanford can come away also saying, we earned this one.
Again, next up for the Cardinals, a foul is called on Ebuka Okorie. And free throws for Portland State with 11.9 to go. Again, Stanford will play along with Portland State, the other Big Sky favorite in Montana. The Grizz are here on Saturday afternoon.
Well, we're very familiar with Montana's head coach. He's had quite a run at Montana, former Cal assistant, but done a great job there. I mean, his team's in the running every year, and he's going to bring a really good basketball team here into Stanford on Saturday afternoon.
Travis DeCure, who was a great point guard for Montana in his day and longtime assistant to Mike Montgomery.
They really, people around coaching know about Coach Travis DeCure. He's done a great job.
And the rebound, last touch by Portland State. 10.8 remaining. 10-point Stanford lead. And again, the Cardinal will win their 15th consecutive home opener. Tonight wasn't easy. Portland State enforcing Stanford to call timeout, but it wasn't easy. Portland State came in here and battled and made some runs.
Well, they did. And, you know, Roxy, we need to give that some mention. I think, again, 15 straight home games.
15 straight home openers.
Home openers, that's still pretty good.
And they went 9-1 at home last year in the ACC.
Yeah, no, that's a good record. And, you know, people would love to have that record at home.
And Stanford now will just look to milk the clock and watch the time tick off. And the Cardinal, 89-79. Knock off Portland State. 15 consecutive home opening wins for the Stanford Cardinal and the freshman Ebuka Okorie. 26 points, 7 rebounds,